it's Virtus.pro. And just like in our last game, Tim, it's kind of the day of David versus Goliath, in my opinion. It is a big ask for MACKO to be able to bring them down here, but for that, it came pretty close, right? So who knows?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think we've always got to, call the reality as we see it, and the reality is that Virtus.pro should really probably be winning this game. But that being said, MACKO come in here with 2 wins so far out of 3 games. They've cost themselves a little bit, to be honest, with having them as overtime wins. So they sat on 4 points in 7th place, just outside of those playoff spots. Whereas, in all honesty, if both of those games go in regulation in their favour, it gives them an extra 2 points, and they sat up around 4th place with 6 points. So MACKO, make no mistake, have had a great start to things so far, and I'm glad to see it. They've been spending the longest time in Tier 2, grinding towards this Tier 1 spot, and now that they're here, they are grabbing a hold of it quite clearly. They are well prepped, well studied, and ready to go and performing inside of the server. So let's not write them off. We'll see what they've got to bring against Virtus.pro.
No, I mean, as you saw on Leo's illustrated, they're a very, very capable team. It's just in the same vein that we saw it from Wolves in our previous game. I'm a little bit worried that you're going to see a bit of promise, but not enough to bring down Virtus.pro. That said, I like the bans coming out of MACKO here. I do want to touch on that Capitao especially for a second. It's one of Virtus.pro's most leveraged operators. And for years now, I've said that I think Capitao is one of the best operators in the game. Does an awful lot of everything, really. Decent gun, 3-speed, great secondary gadgets, or at least did for a long amount of time. Firebolts and smokes. Like, you bring so much to a lineup. It's no surprise that more than just Virtus.pro, a number of teams lean on that operator to pull off a good few executes. And so I think it's been really smart here to look at Shepard and look at Pasha, who have played a lot of that operator, and say, let's just get that off the board now. So good responsiveness from MACKO to deal with the opponent put in front of them, rather than banning away what they might consider a standard strong operator.
Pretty sure that MACKO have actually got rid of all of the clutch drones from Dan as well. They were looking for a spawn peak at the beginning, but it just goes to show what these players are really watching for. And it's any change in pixel color. The reactions are unbelievable. As soon as that drone got thrown, bang, a couple of shots went out, and I think they did hit it. And then the second one coming in through Dan at the main door has been taken out as well. So Bravo maybe not going to have too much of an impact in terms of taking away that gadgetry from the defenders, at least. For the time being, Virtus.pro are going to be trying to get control over Library, but Teb has something to say about that. Shepard's gone, and that's your hard breach.
You've got a lot of challenges to work through here as well. It's very much a layered defense coming out from MACKO, and you see in the dig behind the mirror and the Wamai, you got the castle to go through as well. Jammers, we saw impeding them somewhat early on. They did deal with it in pretty good fashion. We're using those impact EMPs. You can see always has lost one. Pastra's still got 2 in back pocket, but now Shepard's offline. Well, there's not much need for those too much more, to be honest with you, unless you're trying to deal with, I don't know, trying to catch out the Wamai, which feels like a bit of a stretch. The Wamai, sorry, the Warden, but that feels even then like a little bit of a stretch. Always on his march up the main stairs here, of course, one of our top-rated players in the stage so far. Had a lightning first 2 or 3 games. A little bit quieter yesterday, but certainly been the spearhead for this Virtus.pro team in the stage so far.
We're maybe going to need a little bit of support here on the Warden. Needs to be careful about turning his back because, of course, in doing so, he might just give the opportunity over to Always to drop that shield, Always being backed up by Dan from main door as well. But Virtus.pro haven't done a great deal about taking this top floor control so far. We're 2 minutes into the round. Pasha does manage to find Lolo, and here's the pressure. Akwi has to find this first kill, doesn't Dan? Brilliant support, and Virtus.pro once again just showing how they can unpick very solid defenses piece by piece quickly.
Dora's got it all to do as well in a 1 versus 4, but for Virtus.pro, it was less like an element of speed there, but it was actually patience that really rewarded them, waiting until every player was in the right position before they said go. And when they said go, you saw the outcome. They absolutely slaughtered wherever MACKO was standing. Really good play out from the round there from Virtus.pro. Knew what control they wanted to force the player out from inside a split, actually inside of the site itself, and then just completely collapse on those players up on the top floor. Very methodical, didn't need tons of map control, and MACKO have just been warned about how this game's going to go from here.
As you say, even with a solid start, even with getting on top of things, opening kill, clearing out some gadgetry, it quite often isn't going to be enough against Virtus.pro, and I'm sure that MACKO, were well aware of the scale of the challenge that they were coming up against, but as many others before them have, the big question is, they have to ask themselves, Can they do anything about it? They're going to head down to the basement. I think we're going to see a whole map presence from MACKO. Ghost is going to head up onto the mid-floor, at least, with the mirror. I would expect a little bit of top-floor presence as well. Lolo has actually beaten me to it and is already up there on the Fenrir. So we're going to see plenty of clearance required from Virtus.pro. And historically, against Virtus.pro, I would always have said, don't waste some time. Time is the problem for them. That's where you're going to catch them out. But honestly, Des, I don't even believe that anymore. We're not seeing that problem from this Virtus.pro.
I look back to our first play day of the stage, and you had Joystick on a blitz charging into the site, 30 seconds into the round, and I was like, what is this Virtus.pro? That's not the team that we've known all these years. Absolutely not. But it's a new aspect to their game they've added in. Of course, we'll talk about the map bans. That's something they've got to work on. But I think just seeing them be able to play this faster style is actually really quite exciting. It gives a new edge to them that does make them a little bit harder to predict. In this game so far, it has been more slow and controlled, and do not blame them at all. But by the looks of it, Tim, they're not even going to bother worrying about trying to go for those players out in the roam. They're going directly in towards site here, in through the front garage door rather than front door, you'd call it. They've got Pasha at the ready, but like we saw in the previous round, they're making sure everything is ready before they say go.
Going to be getting that wall open now. Second EMP goes out just to ensure that there's no trickery going on. Look at this. Ooh. Decision made. Yings are in. Everything is there for them to put this diffuser down, but they don't deal with the nitro. However, always backs it up straight in. More Candelas follow. He is surely going to secure it this time around, and that is it. Virtus.pro can now just hold on from the outside. What a great plan. Pasha manages to find 1, 3 versus 4, but the difficulty here for MACKO is getting enough space to get onto that diffuser.
Absolutely excellent play. Candelering out above as well, so they couldn't shoot him through the floor as he steps in.
Beautiful.
Virtus.pro, again, same as last round, Tim. Kept it very simple, very focused. There is one objective, and there is no wastage in this round. They've got everything ready. Even a double run out is prepped for, and there is nothing, it seems, that can be done. Ted will find at least one here, but we're down to the last 10 seconds or so. Smoke coming on through, and Pasha's got the long-range shots in. Virtus.pro cruising so far on Chalet.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic round from them. For me, the real pivotal moment.
That is a Leo telestrator round, that is.
I can already see it. I was going to say, actually, the telestration that he did coming into this was absolutely beautiful with the free catch. Just everything about it was chef's kiss. Good stuff. And like you said, that one, it was just the decisiveness from Virtus.pro. As soon as the space was created, the Candelas went in. But I even like the adaptability, the flexibility of when they lose that first planter. Plan B is more Candelas are going in. It's already happening. The support is already there for always. He knows he's the man that goes in and grabs that diffuser if it's unsuccessful. Everything is there. Every scenario seems to be prepared for from this Virtus.pro side. Just absolutely brilliant stuff from them. A bit of a masterclass, really, on how to plant main wall for Chalet.
Just very beautiful. And there's the remarks in the last round. In fact, both of them, they're just keeping it simple, Tim. No need to overcomplicate it. You haven't got to play into a full map clear. Sometimes direct to site is the way to go. Now, Match going to be scratching their heads a little bit here. They're like, oh, we've got all these plans laid out. Like, we've got ideas now. We can slow them down, disrupt them, trip them up. But they're not playing into it. What do we do about that? And there is no easy answer, because you might say in that last round, okay, we'll bring more C4s. All well and good. You've all been EMP'd out, because it's a very rare case where a team still brings Thatcher these days. But Virtus.pro acknowledging what the counters were to their ideal plan, and just making sure that they had backup plans or disruptions ready in the first place. So for MACKO, again, I think they'll be scratching their head a little bit here, thinking, how do we deal with this? Because they're running over us so far.
I think, you know, they need to continue being strong in the beginning of the rounds, make sure that they are getting those entries, make sure that they are getting on top of Virtus.pro early, because the more of a solid foundation that Virtus.pro have, obviously, the quicker they're going to run through these rounds. They've had both of the opening kills so far. It hasn't bought them anything, but believe me, it's not going to get any easier if Virtus.pro manage to pick up the first. Now, getting aggressive on the window, there's an opportunity. That's the backpack, but gets the down. Ackley manages to find Joystick, so again, that opening kill is there. It's best foot forward from MACKO. Can they hold on this time?
And obviously the site is quite literally the other side of the map. It's up on the top floor here, up towards, again, the opposite side of where he's been playing there. And Ackley's gone really aggressive, hoping to punish him in the early round. I spoke about this back on our last map a lot, what I saw from Wolves against Falcons in the same respect, is try and be disruptive, get up in their face early, waste time, take away crucial bits of utility. And MACKO's giving him the full run around here, but finally there is a punish as Pasha has come across and found his man. However, half the round's down, Tim.
Yeah, that's certainly something for MACKO. Managing to burn out that minute 30 without being in a position where Virtus.pro are directly pushing the site yet is at least giving them an edge in this one. But Virtus.pro, as we know, will continue just grinding away. They're not going to be put off by that. We can see the utilities being pinged out. And the most important thing here is that Always is pushing forward with Sin. The impact that not just Monty, but Always on the Monty will have. And he's going to continue pressuring onto Office Door. And again, just making life uncomfortable for MACKO.
Well, I thought they were almost expecting plants coming through onto half wall, which you would expect to see. Dora's surprise antics have now been completely unsettled. Rumbled by that Monty. As C4's up and over, won't quite find his man as he hesitated for a second. Predicts him for one to get rid of Shepard, but immediately there's a response back onto Dora elsewhere. Virtus.pro keeping it close to him. However, we are down to the last 30 seconds as Teb hits another.
There's Dan managing to pick up the trade. 2 versus 2 now. Can Ghost and Lolo hold on here? They do have a problem ahead of them as Pasha starts to put that diffuser down. The cover is there. They're not able to get in to affect that half wall. It's a really difficult position if that line is being held through Piano. Now, what do? They try to move outside. Pasha finds one, but now Lolo's in a position where they know exactly where he is. Pasha picks up the next, and that is going to be another round for Virtus.pro, and these are starting to stack up very, very quickly.
I didn't know summer games done quick had started so soon, Tim. We really are starting to fly through these games today. MACKO need to find some breathing room here on Chalet because they are not being given an inch by Virtus.pro. Granted, that round was a lot closer. They were competitive right to the end. It was a 2 versus 2. But Virtus.pro again just showed that discipline, that capability, that power in those final 2 remaining players of Dan and Pasha, and nothing was given over to the other side. It was bruising. And I'm at a point where I struggle to see how they fight it. In fact, this is exactly what we want. That timeout.
Possono andare tipo il round 2. Quindi andate aggro. Se riuscite a prendere la main advantage, early perfetto. Ma se non riuscite, al mid round, andate aggro facendo una play insieme come stavate provando anche questo round. Era giusta la call di Teb. Quindi provate a spezzare il momentum e mid round andate aggro facendo una play insieme. Però tranquilli che erano round nostri. Però non devono andare a executare. Quindi dobbiamo assicurarci che se vanno per un execute noi siamo settati per stopparli, perché troppo spesso stanno entrando in site facilmente. E quando abbiamo poi la main advantage, mani nel culo, perché qua eravamo 3v2, raga. Quindi occhio, capite le situazioni.
Didn't tell you, I've been learning quite a bit of Italian lately.
Fully agree, do you?
Yeah, I heard the words momentum, and I was like, oh, I recognise that, so clearly I know Italian now. I heard aggression, I was like, I recognise that one as well.
You just obviously, you don't realise you've become fluent, Des.
Oh, it's so easy, it's so easy. But the one thing that I kind of extracted from it, and of course I may be totally wrong here in saying this, but what it sounded like he was trying to encourage was more mid-round aggression. And yeah, momentum was the key thing he was talking about. We need to break their momentum in the mid-round, because that's when Virtus.pro seems to be getting comfortable. Like, look at Aqua in the last round. Started out with that early kill, fantastic. Now can you get yourself back safer towards site there and play as a team and keep that aggression going into the mid-round rather than trying to be over-aggressive and sacrificing players for, I don't want to see no reason, because you have got a kill. You got rid of joystick on the line early in that round. That was fantastic. But it's more mid-round aggression. They can't afford to be, out there, guns blazing for 60 to 90 seconds or so and then just go completely static. That is when Virtus.pro have been finding advantages. So let's see if they can build on things a little bit here and get more of that mid-round aggression to keep Virtus.pro at bay for that little bit longer.
I think it comes down to a similar problem to what we spoke about last time when Kendrew had his timeout, and that is it's all well and good saying, we need more of this, but against this Virtus.pro team, the question is, how do you realistically deliver it? You're going up against a team that are just, look at Pasha, 8-0 at the minute. How do you just bring more aggression against Pasha? It's so difficult when he's winning every single gunfight that he's going into and doesn't show any sign of slowing down. And obviously Virtus.pro are feeling confident with the setup at the minute. If they've extended the stay, they're going to to be at the boot camp throughout the rest of the stage. You know, they're obviously very, very happy, you know, with the way things are going. And so as that confidence continues to go and the results continue to show, it's not going to be easy to just make those changes.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Instead of having just Akwi by himself going aggressive, get a second man in there. Let's make it more of a duo out on the roam and commit towards finding fights. You see it just there for a second where Tip's in there getting a kill. Akwi is straight away stepping in from mezzanine to come and support his teammate as well and make sure there's aggression going on inside a library. And now Virtus.pro, I imagine, are a little bit stuck, being honest with you, Tim, because they're like, well, we can't clear these players out from library and we really sort of need that angle. They've run out of tools to make the move. They've got 2 nades in Always his back pocket, admittedly, but they've already tossed quite a few nades over to try and get rid of Teb, and they've failed.
And that is now creates a little bit of space. It creates a little bit of space for MACKO that they need to take advantage of. Like you say, they're less likely now to be moved out of those positions because of that failed utility. But can they use those positions to deliver that aggression, to deliver those kills that they want to find? 5 versus 4, they have the man advantage. They've actually got the opening kill in every single round so far. They're dealing with more utility well there, just taking out the clutch drone before it can grab that bulletproof cam. It keeps that intel on the side of MACKO. 50 seconds left to go. Virtus.pro need to start making a move. It looks like MACKO might have actually figured them out a little bit this round.
I mean to say another team is getting all the entries, Tim, but still losing rounds? Oh, colour me shocks. How dare you? Either way, this one might actually be the one they get over the line. Here we go, though, and he's just, I tell you what. He's made it look so casual, Tim. Stepped in with the ITL, 1 pump into the belly of Teb and has removed him. Has stepped across and got rid of Aku. Did not expect a play like that to come on through. And despite another fantastic start for MACKO, Tim, it's all crumbled. Virtus.pro have played it patient. They've got themselves in the right spots, and they have slaughtered MACKO no matter where they may stand on the map. It is a trade, and Pasha finds a 3K in the round. He is unstoppable, Tim. It's unreal. It's our next Leakyfac.
I mean, the chances of having one player do that in any given sort of play day is pretty slim. You know, these guys are all super talented, but they're playing against very talented players as well. So having somebody come through like 15 kills without being stopped is super unlikely. And then in the very next game, we get Pasha just like, yeah, watch this then. And just has had as equally a phenomenal performance so far. And it's showing for Virtus.pro.
So hard, and I really feel for, you know, in the same way that I did in our previous game for Wolves, I feel for MACKO here as well. There's been some cool ideas. They've kept Virtus.pro at bay. They've slowed them down. They've got the entry. Akwi gave him a run around on their own where they couldn't seem to catch him until, you know, halfway through the round. They're doing a lot of the right stuff right in the early round, but when it comes down to the execute, when the site becomes one of the primary focus in the round, Virtus.pro just step into a different gear. And as we've remarked, Pasha's now at 11-1, would be 11-0 if not for that trade that came at the end of last round. But regardless, he is on top, and Virtus.pro are flying high.
Yeah, again, it's kind of similar to, you know, what we said about Wolves. I'm not sure as I'd put MACKO maybe, you know, in the elements they're doing right, quite as good as Wolves. But still, like you said, they're doing a lot of the right things. They're winning good portions of the round, but it just, unfortunately, isn't enough for them. It's not winning 100% of the rounds, and it's not putting scores on the doors. And right now, they are starting to feel the heat against our top of the league as it stands. That's not going to be changing, because if this continues, they're going to sit nicely at the top with another 3 points to the name of Virtus.pro.
I'll tell you what, one of our observers, Red Like, is Italian, of course, and he translated what Hybrid, the coach of MACKO, just said. Apparently, it's an expression that I've not heard of before, but he said, keep your hands inside your arse when we are up 3 versus 2. That's not an expression I've ever heard before in my life. Obviously, it's an Italian one, but I'm definitely going to keep hold of that one. So thank you very much, Red Like. I appreciate it.
He's always
it's another case of you've got the man advantage. Yeah. Don't throw the round away.
Yeah, don't, you know, do more than you need to.
Get your hands inside your ass. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, you know, just let them
what
do
an
the work.
expression.
Akwi does manage to find Pasha. Finally takes him down. 12-2 is going to be, and they need to start punishing him. They can't allow him to keep running, you know, keep running around and having the impact that he is. 4 versus 4, and again, Virtus.pro just struggling to take a little bit of ground here. But as we saw in the last round, it doesn't always matter. They find a way in that final 30 seconds. Can they do it without Pasha is going to be a big question. But whilst Always is on the shield, you know that it is possible.
That's exactly it. I was going to say, look, Pasha's out the round, sure, but always is on a blitz. He's been contained, playing safer, looking at the IQ, looking at the Monty, for example. This round, he's a little bit more unleashed him, and we've seen the beast that he is over the last few play days. He's an absolute monster when it put in the right position. Lots of time being stalled down here, and Joystick should have been dead to rights there. He's going to be kicking himself if he didn't get rid of that one.
1 minute left to go, and again, always just being held at bay here. This is great use of the utility coming out of MACKO, just preventing that pressure, but does it matter when Always is going to spray down Teb through the smoke? 3 versus 3. No more Toxic Babes left to come out. 40 seconds left to go, and again, somehow, Virtus.pro, they feel like they have time. They feel like anything is possible.
Oh,
Always just continues marching through Des. He finds one that creates a bit of space. Shepherd, get that diffuser in there. There's a chance to put this down.
He's rounding himself in now. Always probably calling him over, but Always is down to a slither of HP. Joystick is the same. Dora gets rid of one. Always is out of here. That's their frontline pressure removed. Might still be able to get the plant down, but Joystick has got to go absolutely enormous here. C4 coming over as well. Not going to find Shepherd. They hold on, and Diffuser is down. It's all down to Joystick with 1 HP to his name.
Not going to be an easy finish for him. He knows that somebody's just got onto the diffuser. The problem is, where is Ghost holding him from? Tries to spray, but Ghost has got him held. And MACKO managed to get themselves their first round there. I think Virtus.pro gave them that opportunity and they took full advantage of it. Shepherd needed to get into that planting spot a little bit quicker. The problem that Joystick's got, and it's exactly where the problem came from, is somebody coming from connector. It's a very brief window of opportunity that Joystick gets to hit that shot onto connector door, and he doesn't want to overcommit because he's so low health. Always was low health as well, I get that, but he was currently playing on pillar. He's in that position, so if Shepherd's in there now planting, Always is backing up the Kaid. He's preventing that push coming through that was the one that got Shepherd in the end. So I think if Virtus.pro were a little bit more decisive in that 3 versus 2, it was winnable for them, but it wasn't easy because Always and Joystick were on such low health. They didn't really want to overcommit to it, and Shepherd was, I think, kind of bouncing between the two, and you know, where are we going to commit to? And it all just kind of gave MACKO that opportunity, but they took it fantastically. Get themselves on the board. It's 4-1 to Virtus.pro.
We'll stress that same line again that I often say to him. 2 halves to a game of Siege. MACKO could be a very, very different beast on the attacking side, and Virtus.pro could yet crumble on the defense. So let's not count the Italians out just yet either as well. Plenty of chance that they could fight their way back in, though when you've got Pasha playing the way that he is today, it is hard-pressed to see how he can do that. Always going to once again make this blitz sing, and Tim, they're pairing it up with that global utility. The Dockerbeat and the Lion coming along. It's that thing of nightmares that we were all used to a couple of years ago. Still very much alive and well today. The Deimos has often been the go-to for a majority of teams when paired up with the Dockerbeat to have a real impact.
Ronin will continue, of course, through about the first minute of the round for Virtus.pro. That's one thing that I would say maybe, especially over the last couple of rounds, that Virtus.pro could improve upon, would be that they've been, you know, taking their time to get into the map. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but we are starting to see more of this trend towards kind of last 20, 30 seconds having to push in and get those kills. And they don't want to be relying on that too much. They've done it fantastically well so far, but maybe just take the game to MACKO a little bit now. You're 4-1. Oh, you know, get in there, get in their faces, get aggressive, try and get another entry kill. They just had the first one in round 5. Back that up with another. And they lost the round after all that, yeah.
Mate, just giving up the entries is the way to win, apparently. I mean,
obviously.
At least now they've got themselves scared up and ready. Also one towards office door. Of course, don't have to breach on towards that main office wall. It is currently electrified away as the other consideration. This C4 from below, I love, by the way. Valkyrie nets this one off on towards the shield player. That is massive for them.
Again, they're using that smoke well to hold Always at bay. We saw it in the last round. It burnt a lot of time, burnt a lot of hit points. Dora manages to get the opener onto Shepherd, but here come Virtus.pro. Joystick onto Ghost, leveling things out 4 versus 4. Damage done in both directions, but Always is going to take the bulk of it. He's trying to chase his man down. He manages to find the kill even after taking more damage. They can't let Always keep getting away with this. He doesn't have a ton of kills, but the ones he does are impactful. They are creating the space that Virtus.pro need.
Man, hit him like a freight train there as well. Always just so lethal on that blitz as well. Like, not a chance to strike back. At least Olo gets one, and now Always is gone. 3 versus 3. Springs up with the shotgun, but either way, it's back and forth. And we're now down to a 2v2. We've still got a phone call in the back pocket here, Dan. Let's not forget about that.
45 seconds left to go. Virtus.pro well aware that there is at least one of them underneath and trying to hold them back from the verticals. What can they do with that superiority? Usually, if you're wanting to use the verticals, you need more than 2 players. You want at least 3 or 4 alive so that some can watch from above and hold that space, create that space for you to get in and put the diffuser down. As it stands now, you've got Joystick with the diffuser in hand. He is completely reliant on Dan holding that from above or coming down and taking those lateral fights, which is what he is going to choose to do. They're going to push from opposite sides, but Joystick takes a lot of damage. Nade, will it force him out of position? Yes, it does. Joystick manages to find the kill onto Akwi, third in the round, but MACKO win based on time. They can't get it done.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I don't know if
it was reliant on Dan from the other side getting the other kill.
I think that's what he was really riding on, than trying to make a plan happen, for example. But I really thought after getting that first kill there in the 2v2 that they'd just hightail it in towards side. If nothing else, you give away the location to the other player to make Dan, force Dan into an easier 1 versus 1. But a little bit passive there. I'm not quite entirely sure what it was they were holding out for, but it gives MACKO 2 rounds on the bounce team, and they give themselves a good bit of breathing room as now they switch over to being on their attacking side.
Yeah, certainly got themselves back into it. As I commented at the beginning, their wins so far have come in overtime, MACKO, so they're no strangers to taking us to a few extra rounds. They are going to have their work cut out to do that against VP here. I think VP going into the second half, 4-2 up, moving on to the defense. It's a very big mountain to climb now. It's going to be very, very difficult for MACKO to get themselves back into it. But if you're going to only get 2 rounds in the first half, what are 2 rounds to get? Get round 5, get round 6, and then give yourself that momentum. Looking at the bans that have come in, they've taken away the clash. They've struggled against the shields in the first half, so MACKO want no more of it. The castle as well. So they're just trying to create sites for them to attack that are at least open. You know, at least they're not being completely restricted in their movement.
I do really like the castle ban as well. Most played operator, I want to say, across the entire team for Virtus.pro. We need to fact check that one for sure, but I know they play it a lot. It's Dan's most played operator for Joystick, his second most played. They love making use of the castle to force the other side to have to bring something along first to deal with that, but also to have to figure out what mind games Virtus.pro are trying to play. What is this re-architecting of the map that's forcing these different angles opened up and different safe retreat paths for defenders, for example? You can just be done with all that nonsense and take it banned away, though it does invite things like the Mirror of Shepherd to come to the fore, and that's what you're seeing in this round.
Drone set up in kitchen already, but it's going to be a top floor clearance. So the drone that's set up in kitchen, they wanted to keep an eye on trophy, dining, kitchen corridor, that area to make sure nobody's coming through onto the flank and up solar. You saw them popping a drone into solar as well there, just to make sure that they've got that side of the map covered in and they can go in with a little bit of safety to start working on that top floor clearance. It's Joystick for Virtus.pro, who is going to be positioned out on library stairs. He's just for the time being getting himself on those cams and trying to give a little bit of counter intel for his team.
A slower start. We're not really seeing any aggression out of Virtus.pro. Not that that's wholly unsurprising, but they've kept things pretty chill so far. MACKO probably wondering, okay, at what point did they bite back? At what point did the defenders choose to trying to, I must say, spring a trap here, but look to be aggressive onto them? For the most part, you're not going to see loads of it. They've got 2 C4s to play behind, and their lineup, as you can see, is just so dug in. Almost wanted to give over no room at all and really force MACKO into the meat grinder here just to try and push their way through, but they have got the tools to make it happen, Tim. One of those out in the field right now. You just saw it get rolled out there. The sense of Lolo coming out. Speaking of the devil, finds his first kill. Down goes the dock of Dan.
Yet another entry kill going to MACKO. If we want to look for improvements on the side of Virtus.pro, it would be getting some of those entry battles won. 1 out of 7 rounds Virtus.pro have had the opening kill, means that they are consistently playing in 4 versus 5 or man deficit situations, and that's something they could definitely improve. They did manage to get one along the way. Teb was taken down, which is a big loss for MACKO. That's the Blackbeard gone, but along the way they also lost another one on the side of Virtus.pro, always taken down, so it leaves them still in a 3 versus 4.
He's going up for the Capital now, just literally cooking Shepherd alive, and Ghost steps up, finds one. A trade back the other way. Still 2 smokes and fire to play with, mind you, Tim. That Capital can get a lot done here if so desired. Right now, sat on the windows to restricting the movement of players like Pasha and Joystick. And being able to rotate around and join each other, and he gets the kill through a soft wall as well. Great stuff by Ghost, and now it's all down to Joystick. I don't think even he could pull this one off, Tim.
Ghost's done a great job from that double window. It's why it's such a power position. He's managed to get himself 2 kills from there and holding the line that he was onto the top of Solar, which is absolutely beautiful. Great attack from MACKO, 3 rounds in a row, and Virtus.pro now know that they're in a game.
I was nervous for a second because in that 1v3, one of the players was planting, another stepped into a frost mat there at the very end. Akwi doesn't win that 1 versus 1 against Joystick. That suddenly is a very precarious situation they find themselves in. So very nearly there saw MACKO tripping up at the final hurdle and losing that round. But the way they played the rest of it, Tim, absolutely brilliant. Lots of pressure being exerted. It felt like Virtus.pro had nowhere they could stand without grenades, bullets, or fire from the Capitao heading their way. There was always a response of some kind of very well put together attack. Now we've got to see if MACKO can even things up at 4 apiece or if Virtus.pro can pull back ahead.
Bomb located by attackers.
Interested in the site choice. Top floor isn't one after the last round. Top floor isn't one that we see played as a primary site a lot of the time. Basement and the 2 mid-floor sites tend to be more popular, I would say, for the pro teams at least. I'll have a look at the numbers in a minute, but Virtus.pro did opt to go up there to begin with. They're going to move across to game and bar this time around. So again, it just, for me, it just adds that extra layer. MACKO have got to take all the same ground that they did do last time. They've got to take over top floor, got to take over library, Solar, hold all that, but then they've got to move on to site. Whereas last time around, that was site. So we'll see if Virtus.pro can maybe just burn out a little bit more time.
You'd hope so, but I'm more worried that just the pace of MACKO is, yeah. You compare it to, say, Virtus.pro in the first half, who were very, very slow in calculating. And I don't blame them. It worked out for them. They were up 4-0. No complaints at all. MACKO are a little bit of a quicker team than that. We saw it in Leo's pre-game celebration that we saw of their game on console yesterday. 30 seconds in, they flooded in, dumped utility, and had really good set-piece plays. There was very little the BDS could do about it. I'm looking at this one and thinking of a MACKO, a map like Chalet, you can still move pretty quickly through it. It can be quite fluid. I don't expect Virtus.pro are going to be able to slow them down too much here. More be able to outgun them is going to be the key thing. That's often where Virtus.pro have found so much success before. You're looking for more of that now.
Interesting, just having a look at the numbers. Worldwide, since November last year, so a decent sample size. Top floor is actually the most successful defensive side, but the least played on Chalet. So I'm kind of right in what I'm saying. Pros don't play there as much as other sites, but generally do see a little bit more defensive success there. So maybe a missed opportunity for Virtus.pro. We're going to see utility being taken away from them for the time being. MACKO managing to get that nade in and just take away Joystick's shield. So that is a big first step for them here. It's going to start giving them a little bit of room to aggress into Ivy, to start pushing Joystick back down those stairs.
All I said about it being a bit quicker as well, Tim. It's another round where we've still got all 10 players alive here, over a minute and a half into the round. It has been a slightly more chill one. Virtus.pro not looking to entertain that roam game and try and get too aggressive. Now, Pasha, you thought for a moment might carry on the killing spree, but he has been very much silenced across this last round or two. Akwi starts out with an entry, and as we know, Tim, that's all but 1 round of entry going the way of MACKO. They have destroyed Virtus.pro in the early parts of every single round so far. A trade between Teb and Dan at the same time here. He's done his work, Tim. He's got rid of 2 players. Beautiful start.
Yeah, exactly that. Going to take a little bit of damage there, Dora, but not too much as he moves across. They want that Grim there. Grim and Lion are going to be 2 big components in that final execute if they get the opportunity. As it is, they still have them on side, so they can still use that utility. 35 seconds left to go, though, and MACKO need to start creating a little bit of space for themselves. They need to make a decision as well. They're looking at gaming, they're looking at bar, kind of like, where is this diffuser going to go down? Where can we find this space? But right now, I don't think they know where everybody from Virtus.pro is located.
Quite an error and a bit of miscommunication there from Ghost, though, Tim. He's moved before those 2 players upstairs anywhere near in position, and he's paid for it with his life. This could be a 4v3 right now with pressure coming in from 90. Instead, they're going to have to step forward and try and find their kills. The trade going in here, back and forth, and the plant is now going down. Pasha always on that upstairs. Lolo finds 1 more, and Pasha's got no choice but to wait here for the Bees to time out, steps across for the 1, gets rid of 1, but Ndora is there to get the final 1. Will not let Virtus.pro back into the game. It's 4 apiece, and the Italian side bring us even.
What a turnaround we are seeing at the minute from MACKO here. 4 rounds back to back. Absolutely brilliant stuff, and this is what I like about this team. You can see there's smiles on their faces, they're enjoying what they're doing, and it's showing in the server as well. The confidence is up. I love the way that they locked Pasha in basement. The Grim Bees just surrounded him. He knew that there was no point in him moving, and it gave them the space to put the diffuser down. Again, even with short time available, even when they were getting close to the end of that round, they were still able to get the job done. Really nice from MACKO. And it was, you made an interesting point during there, Des, about how the opening kills have been slowing down, the point where we're seeing those first engagements. And I think it's because we're starting to see a bit more tension and a bit more stress in the server. Virtus.pro for the first 4 rounds were very comfortable. They were going in, they were getting kills. So even though they were losing those opening fights, they were getting in pretty quickly and being in those opening engagements. Whereas now, both teams know that they are in a fight to the death here. This one is probably going to go the distance and is absolutely anybody's. So in line with that, you start to see that risk-taking just drop off a little bit. So for the first 4 or 5 rounds, the average opening kill was coming at about a minute into the round, so 2 minutes left on the clock. As we've seen the last 3 rounds come out, 3 or 4 rounds, we've seen that steadily dropping to a point where in the last round, there was only a minute left on the clock. So it took an extra minute for us to see that opening kill. So things have slowed down massively.
I'll just pull back to what I said back in that first half, Tim, and that I feel like I say nearly every single game, there are 2 halves to a game of Siege, and you are seeing a very different half now to what you saw back in the first. MACKO on the rise, Virtus.pro really scrabbling to find an answer. That last round admittedly came down to a 1v1. It was close, but I think that 1v1 stat line suggests that it was closer than maybe it was, because the clock was massively against MACKO. They were the ones having to, hold down the site. It was Virtus.pro having to stage a retake there. It was close, and it shifted the tides of that round very quickly for both sides. It could have gone the way. We could be looking at a 5-3, but that's how the cookie crumbles. And do they see him? It's on the other side of the mirror window. Never mind. I thought for a second I was like, ooh, outline, surely you can see him there. Like, what's he doing? But no. That's where the observer outline baits you. By the way, I want to give a nod to our observers for that replay that we had between rounds, as we saw the Wamai magnets catch 3 nades and the 4th one hit the shield. Let's give a nod to the boys there. That was real, real nice.
Beautiful capture, beautiful stuff. As always, always performing at their peak. It's just a joy for our eyes. Now then, are we able to see MACKO take over Solar here? The push continues. We see them on the stairs, on the windows. Ghost in position again. We saw how much work he did from this double window previously. This time, the Magnet is going to catch out some utility as it is sent in. Continuing again, VP to just hold MACKO at bay. Dan manages to get that opener for only the 2nd time for VP. No. Always doubles down, taking down Teb. 5 versus 3, and it's the Blackbeard gone. Big loss for MACKO.
It's another mistake, Tim, like Ghost in the previous round, where they're losing players for free in instances where they really shouldn't be. Yet they still keep on fighting. They must know that Always is here. He literally got that freebie onto, I believe it was Teb, who stepped his way across into Wall's bathroom. If they've forgotten about him, this is critical. Out he steps, but no, there's the cover. Dora steps off the plant, gets his man, goes in for a second, but no, it's ringed around the rosies. And Pasha, well, he's got thorns, Tim. He gets 3 in a row and closes out the round. Virtus.pro back in the lead again, 5-4.
That was so close for Dora. He just stepped the wrong way. He had a gamble. It was 50-50. Does he go left? Does he go right? He picks right. Pasha, he picks the opposite side and gets the kills, closes out with a triple, and Virtus.pro could not have got that round at a better time, I don't think. They stopped the rot. They stopped that freight train that was heading for the MACKO 4 rounds in a row and looked like they were steamrolling towards a possible victory at that point. But no, Virtus.pro have managed to derail them. They've managed to put the brakes on and prevent them continuing forward. Get themselves onto 5-4, but I think there's another twist in this tale before we're done.
I mean, with how the game's gone so far, Tim, I agree. We've seen both teams have the 4 and the 4. We've finally seen that chain broken. Neither team can extend that win streak past 4 rounds. But it's that attacking side of Chalet. You'd back MACKO to be the ones to get a couple more rounds here, potentially send us into overtime. And what a challenging week it would have been for Virtus.pro if we get there. They look like arguably the best team in the competition, I'd say, after our first couple of play days. This week, though, they've been a little bit rattled by a couple of teams they've come up against, maybe showing that they're not quite the impervious beings that many believe they've been after that first week. They can still be beaten, even when Pasha's going 17-5.
I think it goes to show the quality that we've got in EML as well. It's something I've often said, and I was coming into it this time thinking, have we really got the same depth that maybe we've had historically? But honestly, I look at the last couple of players and I think, yeah, I think we do. You know, you've got a team who are playing lights out like Virtus.pro at the minute, but still, Fnatic, they've been a little bit up and down at times, but put up a very good performance against them. We've got MACKO who've come in, got themselves 2 wins, and are now again stretching Virtus.pro to the limit. So yeah, I think it just goes to show that there is an awful lot of depth in EML and there are no easy games.
No, I mean, we obviously say that about EML, but we cast an awful lot of South American League as well. That league right now is bonkers. Like, you've got top teams losing to bottom teams. It's absolute chaos. You want to see chaos? Go and look at the standings over there right now in the previous few results. You'll look at that and just go, is there a mistake here? Have these teams been put the wrong way around? No, it's just bonkers, but this is the joy of league play, right? I know a lot of teams kind of bemoan best of ones. Oh, you know, you end up going to a very neutral map and it doesn't really get to decide the best team. Like, whether or not you go to the majors, all based on a bunch of best of ones. Sure, of course, we've got things like playoffs coming in where that can change quite drastically, but it does invite some really interesting opportunities for counterplay and adaptations and surprises, which is what we're seeing a lot of so far. I love it.
Let's see if this mezzanine position is cleared any quicker than we've seen it previously. It has been a little bit slow quite often. Dan remains in position on the Warden. We saw, of course, VP using the Monty to try and bully that position, but that's not going to be the case for MACKO here. They do have the Blitz, but I don't believe it's going to be working from office window. It's actually going to be Akli that's looking to get in through there.
Oh, this could be interesting. They're trying to pull off a set-piece play here to get rid of Dan. The shield is going to be the big driving point for them. What Lolo does next is really crucial. Always has already gone. They've burnt out the player top library. That leaves Dan quite exposed, which is why the step-in has come on through. Beautiful set-piece plating, but even with all of that, they've only come out into a 3 versus 3. Ted pulls them ahead. Dora into another. You're spot on, Tim. There is another twist in this tale, and right now it's the MACKO. We're in a 3 versus 1. Shepard has only found a kill to himself all game long. Now he has to find 3.
Yeah, this should definitely be around going to MACKO here. Just need to know where that last man is. Teb will find him, closes it out, and that is going to be 5-5. I could not be happier that we're going to get to see all 12 rounds of this, and maybe even a sprinkle of a couple more, because it's been an unbelievable game so far. Big moments from both teams. We've had mistakes. We've had teams absolutely smashing it on both sides of the board as well. Great entertainment. Great siege that we're witnessing. Virtus.pro have certainly been quietened a little bit in this one.
They have a little bit, yeah. It's a tough one. And do you know what I just thought was really interesting looking at it for a second then when Shepard was stuck in that spot and he's now 1-8, obviously not having a strong game. He's one of those players that I don't think it matters like what his scoreline looks like, is that you just have absolute faith that he is doing all he can for the team, right? It's something that we've heard the players say before, we've heard other players and other teams remark on the same. Entirely selfless. You won't see him lighting up the kill feed and getting a multi-kill every single round. He isn't that kind of player, but if he's the guy you're saying run in there where they've got 3 C4s and get that diffuser down, they'll be like, no problem, boss, and he's in there and making it happen. Or you stay on site and be the anchor, and if we all die, you're in a 1vx, good luck, have fun. He's like, yeah, no problem, boss, you got it. And I think it's just really worth commending a player that is still playing that very true support role, even in the current age where very often we'll say about teams, you can't afford to have 4 gunners and a support player that can't shoot. Not saying that he entirely can't shoot, of course he can on his day, but I just, again, think it's really worth praising someone that can play that style of role and not be fazed by it. That's a nod towards you as well, Tim. You're the shepherd of the stack.
Well, you know, I did think that was probably, you know, the point that you were really making, you know, that Shepard was just a lucky byproduct, really, if anything.
Crucial needed member of the stack is what I'm calling him, mate.
Certainly is. Look, we've known for the longest time how much value is brought by those players. You know, it's why Salisbury, Shepard, all players like that, you know, are so critical, and they are so sort of revered within their teams and within the community as a whole. But here we go then, round 11. We are well into the action phase. MACKO were able to get themselves back into the opening kill game in the last round, so only 2 rounds out of 10 have gone in favor of Virtus.pro so far. 20% on the opening kills is seriously low. They nearly get themselves another one there, though. Lolo will indeed drop. It's going to be Dan taking out the Ash. 5 versus 4 to Virtus.pro.
Yeah, that was inside the piano as well. Again, Lolo going a little bit too far ahead of the rest of his team. It's kind of crazy that MACKO have made a few mistakes like this across rounds, yet are still keeping themselves so damn competitive. Shepherd now falling. How can we get him one back? But again, to round at that point, MACKO can make mistakes and still save the round. Virtus.pro are, I think, somewhat at the whims of waiting on that mistake to occur so they can get a freebie in the round. And even then, it doesn't guarantee they win things out. Just good play by MACKO so far, even with the mistakes creeping on through.
Got so much joy. He got so much joy from that double window previously. It's no surprise to see him perched on there. Again, it just gives you so much visibility through to piano, through to top solar. You can make life a nightmare for the defenders up on this top floor. Dora did manage to find one. 4 versus 3. Pasha's taken a lot of damage as well. Always is a little bit low. MACKO are softening them up, but it doesn't matter if Pasha's just going to find a headshot onto Dora, but there goes Ghost. I spoke about that double window position. All he needs to do is just bide his time, and that's exactly what he's done. 3v1. Surely MACKO get themselves the match point opportunity. Ghost on that double window. VP got to get a way of dealing with it. MACKO close it out. 6-5 now.
All right, that's it, Tim. They could be in a spot to get this one closed out. Again, it's a bit scrappy at points in the early round. This kind of back and forth players dying randomly out of random positions, and it's a bit like, oh, okay, someone's made a bit of a step-up play, but here's the attack timeout now for VP.
Вы начинаете, они долгие, они ничего не делают, они просто идут на окна, репелятся, ничего не делают, вы успеваете, даже у вас умудряется найти хороший размер, вы остаетесь все время 3 в 3, 4 в 3 в хорошие у вас размены. Проговорите просто, пожалуйста, после того, как вы разменялись, кто что возьмет, не подставляйтесь под дефолтные углы. И не надо делать то, когда ничего не надо делать, не надо ничего делать. У вас есть все позиции и размены. Просто стойте, все проговорите, кто что взял, и если у вас они вам дают время засетапиться, проговорите план, как вы будете дефать экзекьют.
Давайте план, мужики, рассказываю. Go в спальню, без мира, просто Ягервамай, мут и как уебище ходить.
The voice of Karjeka there, stepping in, offering some words of wisdom. Of course, a former pro player for a long time himself. Now, of course, stood behind the team and offering his words of wisdom and coaching, sage advice to try and get things back on track here. Because, as said to him, it feels like momentum has largely sat with MACKO. Don't get me wrong, they've had moments where they've lost players in positions they really shouldn't be. But overwhelmingly, it feels like they're the ones controlling the tempo of this game, and Virtus.pro are the ones now trying to find a way to fight back. They could yet drop 3 points to MACKO, and I don't mean any ill to MACKO in saying this, but to Virtus.pro, that will be a catastrophe.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Absolutely, absolutely. They need to. As we said it coming into the game. Realistically, we saw the socials. The social expectation I think was 81% or 84%. I think it was 84% in favour of Virtus.pro. The reality is coming in here that you would expect them to win. They're the ones with all the experience. They're the ones that have done this countless times. But MACKO are showing up and they're saying, you know what? That doesn't really matter. We don't care who's in front of us. We are prepared. We've got the ability. We are coming in here looking for results. And let's not take it away from them that if they get this, they move up onto 7 points. And if I have a look at the updated table based on what we've seen so far today, 7 points will take them up to tie up with Secret in 4th place. Obviously there's other matches to come for the day that will maybe change that up, but that's unbelievable for MACKO.
I think Dan's just been pre-fired here by Lolo and has downed him. Now, I don't think he knows that he's down inside the bathtub and he should be recoverable. It shouldn't really be a big issue for them. But still a little bit of a whoopsie-daisy. Bearing in mind, Tim, his shield's still in back pocket and he's still got a frost mat also in back pocket here. So that's no chance. Oh, Pasha, you're taking a massive gamble there, my son. Worth stressing, by the way, Tim, 20 kills to Pasha's name. Massive map he's having, and yet they're still about to lose. No, Dan! No! He's been suckered in and paid the price for it. Lolo has got him at the second time of asking you. Pasha's now thinking, oh my God, is this where I died? Do I go down the sinkhole here as well?
Drone going live.
Honestly, it's easy to criticise afterwards, but Pasha should never have gone into that bathtub. It's far too dangerous. That's why he wasn't doing it to begin with. Dan can't crawl out of there. He's stuck in that space. But It's right next to the window. You know it's going to be being watched more than likely if there's already been a gun battle there. Like you say, maybe he doesn't know he's down Dan, but as soon as he sees a body jump in there, he knows for a fact he's downed him. So he knows that there's two. So when he's killed one now, he knows that Pasha's still stuck in there, so he can just hold him. Real big problem for them, and it was... I get trying to get your teammate back on his feet, but they've lost far too much for that opportunity.
Ooh, I was going to say, if he gets Akwi there, this could really turn the round on its head, but Akwi too wise for this. He's been on this window a few times, so he knows the kind of things that's going to happen to try and kill him. And I do agree with you there. He's got no choice because it's so early in the round. And now Shepard has gone as well. It's going to start falling down. What on earth is going on there? Always, I won't quite say caught in no man's land, but it looks dire. Pasha doing his best to keep his team going, but as much as he has had a superhero performance today, MACKO are going to take all 3 points away from Virtus.pro and catapult themselves at the table.